All right, we want to welcome all of our listeners and viewers. We are here live from the Crown Council with Audrey Wendel with TBank. And Audrey is one of our trusted and loved resource partners of the Crown Council and has been for some time. Audrey has come with a lot of high demand for today's Q&A, and respectfully so, based on what each of us are dealing with and the questions that all of us have with, and some of the questions of just, some of it can be quite confusing. And so it's nice to have an expert like Audrey join us. We may also have Audrey's president and CEO, Pat, join us as well, Audrey. So if we see him jump on, you feel free to just interrupt me, and it could be this phone number that just joined as well if it's not. With that being said, thank you everyone for joining. We have a strong.
Like Pat did call in.
Okay. Pat, can you hear me okay, Pat?
I can, thank you. I was having difficulty with my phone for the last 3 minutes.
That's okay. So everybody knows, this is Patrick Howard. He is the president and CEO of TBank, who is also joining Audrey on this. So we are stacked today with knowledge, and extremely grateful for your guys' time and on jumping on with us. Patrick, I'm Spencer Chipping with the Crown Council, and I'll be helping facilitate some Q&A throughout this. I've worked with Audrey for some time and are really grateful for you guys being on with us today.
Well, I can go ahead and start if you'd like, Spencer.
Yep.
I do have just an overview of some of the main questions that have come our way. Again, I will point out, as Jamie has said, she was our very first loan application. Woohoo! Yeah, she was highly managed in this process and did a great job and turned things around, and was very gracious with us, because from day one of this, the banks had to create an entire platform to manage this. So this isn't something that's going straight through to our normal processing. So we really are grateful for the feedback she gave us in the initial stages. So we're all in this together. That's basically how I'm gonna put this, because the banks are trying to answer questions, and as we answer a question, we're in a very fluid situation, then the SBA goes ahead and changes it again. So the same customer I might have said something to 3 days ago has different information now. So I am very grateful for our staff at TBank. They just put this phenomenal program together for us. So now we're rocking now. We're really have a good process in place. So with that said, I would tell you there is a lot of conflicting information out there. So please be cautious in what you're taking as sound information and what you're taking as not. So we're gonna lead you through what I know and what we don't know, to be quite honest. There's a lot we don't know. And the biggest piece we don't know is the forgiveness side. I've talked to many of our SBA folks internally, and we have to go with just what is written out there today. And so I'll cover that in a moment. But if some of you have gone through the process, we've got several of our clients I can see online that might have gone through the process. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is prepare for what you're gonna need. And so many of our dentists haven't even applied yet because they can't open their dental practices. So that first initial amount has already been used up, and it is correct. People are calling me all day today in a panic. Yes, that funding has been used up. Now, we're all hoping that by next week, or we don't even know the time frame, but hopefully soon we'll have an additional amount of funding that we can start rolling out to all of our customers. So we encourage you to continue with your process and work with your bank and find out from them what their process is. Each bank they're taking the lead on this. It's not the SBA. We are having to implement our systems and our processes. So each bank will be a little different. So we encourage you to check where your loan is or where your deposit account is and contact them and let them know you're interested in the program. They may say, don't apply with us yet. We're taking the other side of it and we're telling people, go ahead and start the process so that you are ready to go when the next round goes, when and if this next round comes through. So you wanna make sure that you cover that. There's two different things that I've found this week that have become the biggest question or doctors are confused or clients are confused. One is, I'm approved. Why am I not going to get my money? My bank just called me and told me I don't have my money. I thought I was approved. So it's very important that you realize the difference between being approved and having SBA authorization. So two different things. So what we do in our process, again, it's different with everyone. We have our underwriters approve the loans, and then you may get a notice that says you're approved with this loan. And then of course, right now there's lawnmowers going in front of my house. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So we'll get it approved and then we will ask for a closing date. Some banks will skip right to the process of sending it to SBA for authorization. Some will not. You need to ask that question. Am I approved? Because you do not have your funds reserved for you until you get that SBA authorization. Very, very important. Had several that thought they were approved with another bank and they waited and they thought, okay, I'm ready to go. And then they found out that the funds had been used up. So that's important to know. Another big question I get is, when do my 8 weeks start? Or when I need to, so if they want to draw their money, they get their loan approved. When do my 8 weeks start? Some are confused with the June 30th date that's out there. That is the period right now where you can apply up to until June 30th for this program if there's funds available during that period. But the 8 weeks starts from your closing date. So when you close your loan, your 8 weeks start then. So as you get to that process and you start hiring staff back, what I highly recommend, doesn't have to be our bank, it could be any bank, but be very specific about where you put those funds. And I like the advice a lot of CPAs and financial planners are giving. They're asking them to set up a dedicated account so that when it comes time for the forgiveness, everything has gone through there. So the loan can be deposited. Some people ask, can I do it in draws? Not a real benefit to do that because you're forgiven of the interest for that 6 months. The principal and interest is deferred. And you hopefully everything will be forgiven if you're following the guidelines, right? So I would recommend, this is just my recommendation, check with your financial advisor, get that dedicated account, that money goes in. No other money should be deposited to that account. Every expense, every qualifying expense can be tracked now and very easily when you're ready to get your forgiveness. Because you're going to need to have receipts, you're going to need to show your payroll, you're going to have to show the same information you had given us at the very beginning to qualify. So very important for people that are trying to get this through their operating accounts. I would set up a separate business account and use that for all of anything related to this PPP loan. Okay. The other question that we get a lot is, what happens if I don't get that 75%? There's this 75% number that keeps flowing out there. Will I not get any of the funds? Again, forgiveness is a little vague right now. It's gray. We will get better guidance. It is happening. It drives, frankly, our underwriters crazy not to have very specific direction. But all we can tell you is what it says right now, and that 25% of your qualified forgiveness that you're going to get. So 25% of the total number can be used for things outside of payroll that are included in what they're using as qualifying expenses: rent, mortgage interest, utilities, up to 25% of the forgivable amount. But if you're using some of the funds that are not forgivable, that's going to reduce the amount of money you can use towards those expenses. Again, these things you might want to work through with your CPA and your financial advisor. Each situation is going to be a little different, but that's really all we have right now. We will get more specific information down the road, but that's what we know for now. So what happens if we get to that point? We've finished our 8 weeks, we're ready to go, and we found out that out of our 100,000, 30,000 of it was not forgivable, okay? That is now going to convert to a note. It's a 2-year note that started the day of your closing date. Again, we're early in the process on this. Even some of our SBA folks internally have said they have a feeling that might even change down the road. It could, but as it stands right now, we have to document it exactly as it's stated in the guidance. And the guidance states it's a 2-year term. So they have to think really hard. If you have amount that's not forgiven, if you want to roll it to that note, you have, if you go 8 weeks, you now have 22 months to repay that loan in full. So it's a 1% rate. Everyone's going, oh, it's great, it's 1%, but not when you have to amortize it over 20 months or 22 months. Mm-hmm. So that's the danger in doing that. So again, the purpose of this loan was specifically to hire back your employees. And so the most you can get forgiven, the better off you are. So that would be an advice I've been giving to all of my existing customers as well. The other question was the number of employees. What happens? What if I only hire back 80% of my employees or a certain amount? So, and I did see some Crown Council emails. You're the CPA that you guys have. Phenomenal information. He's exactly right on what he's got out there. It mirrors what's out in the SBA. But during those 8 weeks, you can compare that 8 weeks to the same time period, and it's your choice of between February 15th to June 30th, 2019, or January 1st, 2020 to February 29th, 2020. So you get to pick which one you're going to compare it to. And then if you only hire back 80% of your staff, after you've calculated all your forgiveness, you only get proportionate share of that amount forgiven. So 80% salary of your staff is back, you get 80% of the forgiveness. The rest rolls into the term. Mm-hmm. That's what we know today. That's our interpretation. Again, I would keep consulting with the CPAs and everyone that are really involved in this process. And then I encourage you to also, as things change, SBA has their website is really good. It does do some great updates. It's sba.gov, I believe. So I recommend checking that. And then if you have a specific question, it's all in there, black and white. You can search by your topic if you like, and you'll get some of those questions answered as well. And then if you're in the process now of thinking you might be getting closer to your office opening, now would be a good time to start reaching out to your banks. You guys are in a really tough situation, because even if you could apply 2 weeks ago, it wouldn't have maybe benefited you as much as another business, because you can't even have staff come back because your doors are closed. So you're in a predicament that is unlike many other businesses. But if you are ready, I would start gathering the information you need. So just generally speaking, it's nowhere near as cumbersome as applying for a loan. So nowhere near. So you're going to need to get your 940s or 941s, payroll statements. I would get statements for the healthcare. If you have something you can provide that's internal, that's fine too. But you will need to true it up. Just be very careful, because the SBA is really putting it on the borrower to give us correct information. And when we get back to the point of forgiveness, we're going to ask you to document everything to make sure it's forgivable. Okay, so that's another point to bring up as people are going through this approval process. We fortunately have a beautiful onboard or an online portal for boarding all of your documents, which has been fabulous. So there's no paper. Not all banks are going to be that way. Just know it might take a little longer if you're using big banks. There's nothing wrong with starting the process now if you're looking at potentially opening in May or June, although we're all still waiting around for that. So anyway, that's kind of, those are the hot topics, I would say, of what we're seeing out there. So I'll open it up to questions if anyone has, unless Pat, you have anything else you want to add as a tip or anything else you can think of at this point?
Sweetheart.
No, I think, Audrey, you did an excellent job of explaining the program.
Why do you move so close to Madison?
Thank you.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Why are you so close
go
to
for it, Jamie.
So I have to say, I realize that I'm preaching to the choir probably on everybody who has already applied. But if you haven't applied, I have to tell you, the application process with TBank, piece of cake. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to be the first one. I got a lot of hand holding, but once they had their system up and going, it took me 30 minutes max to do it. It was terrific.
Thanks, Jamie. We appreciate that.
Super helpful, Jamie. Yeah, appreciate the feedback there.
I've got a question if I could ask it.
Sure, I can.
Okay, so my question is on the forgiveness portion of it. Not that it's going to happen very soon because we're going to be delayed until the next round. But when we're talking about payroll, when we process payroll, everything goes under the same account. It's all done at the same time. But you cannot do that in this new system where we have to divvy out the stuff that is not forgivable. If we have a separate account for only that forgivable part of the payroll, that's going to complicate things. What are you suggesting to people who are creating separate accounts for only the forgivable part of payroll?
Well, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to track what they're doing with their, what they know will be forgiven. In my opinion, I think, again, this is something that's internal. My recommendation is using the same account if possible to track what the funds that are coming out of that account should all be the funds related to the loan. So if there's some mechanism of having some sort of tracking system to say, okay, out of the 100,000 that I have in here, I've already sent 20,000 to unqualifying expenses. I think it might muddy it up if it's going to a different account. I think it should just be tagged and marked that is, they know that not to include that with their qualifying expenses. But I think that's just an internal decision on how they feel like they want to track it. But I can tell you that the CPAs that we have, they're very much involved in the dental community, are telling them to put everything through there so they can track what's forgivable and what's not. I think they're using the same account for both and then having a system in place to track it. Hope that helps.
It's good. Audrey, here's a question that came in. Let me ask this one to you.
Okay.
Can I apply with TBank for the PPP loan and be approved, but wait to close the loan at a later date, assuming funds are available?
It's a great question. And I will say that since day one with Jamie to today, huge difference in how we're doing the processing. So yes, if somebody applies with TBank, again, each bank is different. You can go all the way through to the point of closing your documents, and we will not submit to SBA until you have given us your closing date. So we can get all the way through, get your ID, underwrite it, approve it, you get your approval letter, and in the letter it states that you'll get emailed from the portal. It'll state you're approved, go through the process, you can be loaded up, and you're the one that decides your closing date. Because right then when you get those documents, it asks you to enter your potential closing date. And then internally, we are backing into 10 days from there. It's still the responsibility of the borrower to contact us to get it going. I have to put that out there. Just because of the sheer volume of requests that we're getting. But we are trying to add a backstop there so that if a closer gets a loan and they're ready to get the E-Tran number, which is the number, the authorization from SBA, they're using that as a trigger, and they might pull it and say, whoa, wait a minute, this doctor doesn't want to close till May 15th. They do not proceed at that point and reserve the funds. So that's a great question. That get asked, that kind of goes along with the approval versus SBA authorization. So we have a system, every bank is different. Some banks don't even want you to apply unless you're ready to go through the process. Some say they can't hold it. They're just too big. They have to process as they go. So definitely a good question to ask whoever you're going to use, if it's TBank or someone else.
Fantastic answer. Thanks for that, Audrey. Anyone else before I make a couple other comments? You can either type it in or just ask Audrey. While you're doing that, let me just make mention to those that may not be familiar. Audrey, not only expert as she has shared in banking in this process, but in her role specific to dentistry, therefore understands everything that we are dealing with and working with from our perspective right now. And I think that is a lot to be said about who is answering our questions from what we are going through right now, Audrey.
Thank you.
Here's a question that came in. Can you work with TBank if you haven't banked with them before?
Well, I've got Pat on the phone. He can change, he can adjust what I say. The answer originally was no. We wanted to get through and help our existing borrowers, as many banks were doing. They know immediately to try and help those borrowers. We're also helping, we have a huge trust department and deposit clients, so we're trying to get through those. But what I will tell you is that if and when we do, and it might be soon, I'll let Pat maybe address that, we're tracking everyone that would like to do that.
That's okay.
And we're going to go ahead and set up an account.
Come get me if you need help.
I think that's Dr. Levinson.
Yeah.
So yes, if they open, we'd like to have the bank account opened with us. Hopefully in hopes of moving forward down the road of getting an operating account and establishing a banking relationship. But yes, I will let Spencer know when we get to that point.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to unmute all. Okay, everyone is unmuted now. I had that question, and everyone is unmuted. For some of you, okay, yeah, go ahead.
This is Pat.
So to expand on Audrey's answer, when the money ran out this morning, we stopped accepting applications within our portal. And what that's going to do is allow us, when we rolled this out, we've been redoing programming in our portal because we developed it literally in 8 days. As we've been working in it. So we're going to take this little bit of breathing room that we have in order to update our portal to facilitate all of the additional documentation that will be required for new customers to the bank. There's a whole level of identification under the Bank Secrecy Act and customer information programs that are required and corporate documents for our current customers. And in defense of all banks, when they limited current customers, that was one of the biggest reasons, is we had all of that information in our files already. So it took out a big step out of the process. We're adding those steps to our portal right now as we speak, because I spent all morning working with our programmers to set that up. And we hope within a couple of days, maybe by the weekend or Monday, we will be able to invite new customers to the bank to both participate into the PPP program. But to reiterate what Audrey said, we want the help of our customers too. This has been very rewarding for the people who have worked on it to help people like Dr. Sled and just to hear their gratitude. But we need help too, because we fund our loans with deposits, and banking relationships that is what really make us good financial partners for our customers. And we're pretty good at banking dentists. We've done a lot of them. So we will be accepting applications for new customers.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. That's fantastic to hear, and thanks for the feedback and being on. Audrey, anything else to add to that? Or I'll also open it up. Anyone else for additional questions around that?
Yeah, can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this Dr. Gal, I have a dental office, and it closed since March 16th, exactly 1 month ago. And I applied for both loans, the PPP and the other one, IDO, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got, heard anything back from the IDO loan, but I got the PPP loan approved like 8 days ago. So I just talked to the banker this morning, and she said she's going to send me some document to sign. So is that the document? I just want to know what that document would be.
Okay, that's a good question. So again, if they're sending you loan documents, that it means that you're at the final stages of your loan. So I'm hoping that their system means that you already have the money reserved. When they reserved the money, I will tell you there was 10 days from that date of approval. Do you remember when you were approved? If it's the SBA authorization?
Approved, yeah, 7 or 8 days ago.
Okay, so I would move on that. Closing documents are they're pretty straightforward. They're the documents that we create based on the SBA guidance. So everything I talked about today, it's going to tell you when your term starts, and it gives you all the specifics. It's actually pretty straightforward. I've read through it. It lays out what the terms of the PPP loan are. You do need to execute those in order to get your funds. So I would tell you not to hold off if you're looking for the money now.
Right. See, that's the big thing for me. I'm not that, I'm still thinking maybe a month or 2 months. We need some time before we can open the door. If I get money right now, I cannot use it. Right.
And so this is a situation where we've had many clients that had started the process that put it on hold. Just know that your application is not going to it shouldn't go right into the air. What'll happen is that loan will just sit, but you're going to lose the reserve of the funds to somebody else that needs the money now. As it's the check-in system of the SBA. They don't want to reserve funds for 2 months when they could be used today. So that's the risk you're running, is that you're going to lose that money. But I can tell you that many people on this call haven't even applied yet, because you don't know if your doors are open. So you're not going to be in a unique situation. A lot of people in the same situation.
So in the future, it's possible then say, I don't want to get the money right now. Maybe a month later, they say, that's no money for you.
That's right. That is the unfortunate truth of what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one more question. Say if I get like 100K and I use 50K for the payroll, and I use 10K for the rent or something. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen for the rest? Or
so you're going to use, so what they consider forgivable is of the amount that you had that's forgive. So 50,000 plus you're saying 20,000 or 10,000. Right. So out of the 60,000, 75% of that is going to be has to be payroll, right. And that's what's forgivable. The remaining 50,000, you either can pay the loan off, pay the loan down, just pay the money back, or that amount will get, or 10,000, so it'd be 40,000. Or that remaining 40,000 would term out to a loan at 2 years at 1%.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Audrey, here's a question that came in. Can 2019 401k profit care be considered a part of payroll?
That is, Pat, do you know the answer to that one? I can't say that with confidence.
Profit care.
Profit share. Profit sharing.
Profit share. Profit share. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, profit care.
Okay. That question hasn't come up, Dr. Sled. I think the answer is probably yes. Who received the, well, probably. The emphasis on probably. I don't know for sure. So if your profit share was contributed to you and any of your employees' 401k balances, retirement's covered. That's the act says retirement is covered.
Yep.
I think that would be the case.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, great question. Audrey, this has been fantastic. For everyone listening, note that everyone is unmuted right now. If you want to jump in or send in a message as I begin wrapping this up, but I'm going to begin to do so. We know that Audrey's time is, and that Pat's time is in high demand right now, to say the least. So we are very thankful that they've been able to join us and answer some of our questions and concerns. So with that being said, I would like everybody to know that a recording of this is going to be shared on the Crown Council email network here in about 30 minutes. And TBank, as well as Audrey's information, will be on the link that we share. So Audrey, with that being said, truly we want to say thank you for being a great resource partner of the Crown Council today. You and throughout this time, you've truly been a resource to us.
You're very welcome. I'm just happy that we're able to help everyone that's in need, and this dentists are really in this quandary. So anything we can do to help. If you have a question, or best thing to do is email me. We do get an onslaught of emails, but you're always welcome to email me a question if you've got one. I'm available. Call me, you can call me, but I'll probably respond quicker if you email me.
Yeah, that's right. Again, and thanks for everyone joining and tuning in and listening and providing good content, that we're all sharing best practices as we ask these questions. One question from each of you is a question that the entire Crown Council has right now, and it's just nice to also have the experts on the phone, on Zoom, to help us answer them. So Audrey, be safe, and thank you so much. And everyone else, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow. And Kent Smith, who's up there in the corner, is going to be presenting with us. So you'll be in the hot seat tomorrow.
On you, Kent. I might call in just to ask you questions.
Ask some hard questions.
I've known Kent a very long time.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome. Okay. Hey, thanks everybody, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Audrey. Thanks, Spencer.
Yep.
You're welcome. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you.